Hi, Mike Matney. Martin here. How you doing?
Hey, Martin. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on this morning.
My podcast is called Peace Unplugged, so there will be some bits and pieces I'll be asking you about. I understand that you've got some things about health practices and so on, so it'd be really cool to chat to you about that as well. But I see you at 40 years in the music industry, then, yeah?
I'm an old guy. Yeah, I've been around for a while.
How did music start for you, man?
Martin, my mom was a piano player in church. I live in a small rural community in Southwest Virginia, and I grew up in what they call the Bible Belt. And my mom played in church. And, man, I've always, she always encouraged my music. I think I started piano lessons at about 6 and picked up the guitar around 8. So I've been at it for a while. For me, I'll tell you right quick. I did an album when I was 18 here at a local studio. Just a little small 4-track, and saved up my yard mowing money and had it pressed up. About 250 copies of it. It got to be a collector's item, and anyway, I got signed by a bunch of different labels, and I got to tour and stuff. So that was that's my claim to fame.
So I bet that first album's worth a fortune now, then, is it?
It is. It was weird. I put it out in like 1980, and like 10 years later, I got a call from a friend of mine who was a record collector and asked me if I had any copies of it left. I told him no. He said, "Well, if you can find some copies," he said, "I'll give you $50 a piece." So I knew something was up right then. So I rounded up a few copies and went up to his house, and he showed me reviews from like all over the world in these different collectors magazines where it was like going for $120 a copy. Well, flash forward now, it's like $1,000 a copy. That's if you got one of the original ones. It's been bootlegged a couple of times, and it's, a couple of different official releases. The first one on Heaven and Hell, and the second one is coming out here in the next couple of months on Riding Easy Records out of Los Angeles. So there'll be another official re- release of the album, the first album, in a couple of months.
What got the transition for you from sort of learning to play piano and church into sort of heavy rock music?
Well, actually, I didn't play so much in church. I mean, that it terrifies me to play in church. I tell everybody, that's too many sober people to play in front of. But I've always been a rocker. Lately, over the last couple of years, I released an album with Stevie Salas. Me and Stevie, I don't know if you know who Stevie Salas is, but a bit about him. He was guitar player with Rod Stewart and Mick Jagger, and he's produced Justin Timberlake, and I mean he's a big name. And anyway, I was fortunate enough to get to work with him over the last couple of years. We've got a new project that's just under my name. It's called Matney, and the name of the album is The Redneck and the Red Man. If you get a chance, come out and check it out. That's the one that's on Roulette Records.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I'll go for that. I was just reading another thing about was it Average White Boy in the Rap Band? Was that from the original?
That was the original White Boy and Average Rap Band. Yes, sir.
What? How did you come up with that name?
Okay. Well, when I was 18, I moved. My parents knew I wanted to be in the music, and they moved me to Nashville. And I fell in with a band called Taboo, and I was the only white guy in the band. So that's how the White Boy thing come about. And I think the Average Rap Band thing come about probably because we were all at that time in the 1980s. It was crazy times, and there was probably some substance abuse involved in that one. I don't know. But yeah, it's best I can remember it. But yeah, I really don't. I really can't put my finger on the Average Rap Band part of the name. Long time ago. I
But
know
you were
where the
the only
white.
white guy, yeah?
Yeah.
Wow, that's really great stuff. What would you say have been your biggest challenges?
The biggest challenge for me. Okay. Gosh, health wise. Are we talking health wise or just challenge in general?
Yeah, let's talk health wise.
Oh, okay. Well, great. I mean, I can complain all day long. That's the older I get. No, for me, I'm the gluten guy. I got to be gluten free. So I have to watch what I eat a whole lot there. Um, and I've got a little bit of touch of some stomach issues, like diverticulosis and stuff. So I'm really particular about my diet. Um, I'm trying my worst thing right now is sugar. I am trying hard to get off of sugar. I like sweets, and particularly like them before I go to bed at night, and that's terrible for you because it messes with your sleep and everything. So, uh,
Yeah,
yeah, that would be my number one thing, I'd say.
that's the number one thing. So, just referring back to the notes I had here, it was Jay had sent me over. Said that you got several health practices. Tell me a bit more about that.
Well, I work out. I've got my my loft in my house. I live in a little log cabin here on the farm, and I keep my weights and my elliptical uh, upstairs in the loft. And so during the bad weather, the winter time and stuff here in Southwest Virginia, we're seasonal. We get a little bit of a winter, so I'm up there then. And then now it's starting to get nice. Like today, I think it's going to be up close to 70 degrees today. So I'll be out walking. I'll walk the farm. Uh, my driveway in my farm it's about a mile long. So a good day for me is all the way out and back, a couple of miles. And if I feel really good about it, I'll maybe jog some of it, run a little bit. Do you work out?
Yeah, I used to. I used to go running. Well, I've got a bit of a heart condition these days, so I have to be a little bit cautious about that sort of thing. But
Yeah.
it's so I'm 61 now, so a couple of issues with my heart, atrial fibrillation,
Uh, yeah. Well, you look good for 61, man. 60.
and you're still keeping fit, still going out walking. So
Oh,
what
yeah. I
what
mean,
brings you peace? What brings you peace, Mike?
oh, well, man, I am a Southern Baptist. Like I said, I was raised in the Baptist, raised here in the Bible Belt. So I'm a little bit of a religious guy. I'm a Christian,
Uh huh.
and I read my Bible every morning, and I try to lean into my faith. And that and staying off the TV. If I'm on television very long or if I'm on Facebook very long, it drives me crazy. So, I try to stay away from that. But it's hard to these days and times.
Yeah.
You got your cell phone and you got your, and that brings me back to my, some health practices, man. I'm trying to stay away from blue light too. I get the little glasses, the UV glasses, to filter the blue light and stuff when you're on computer and everything.
Oh, especially at night time, because the blue light at night tricks your mind, doesn't it?
Yes, it messes with your sleep and stuff. So yeah.
I found about a bit of that too. Anything else that you do? How do you manage? I guess the climate where you are. I mean, you say it's 70 degrees out there today. In the winter time, do you find the darkness or the darker seasons affect you at all? Or
Yeah, yeah, and the more I learn about that, sunlight and the effect that it has on, you got to get the light into your eyes, to make the melatonin and to, you know, your circadian rhythm and all that. Yeah, so wintertime does. If you don't get out, the more I read, your skin is kind of like a solar panel, and energy. So the more sunlight you can get on your skin, the better off you are. And so, yeah, I'm really looking forward to these days now. Nicer days. So the weather's changing here a little bit.
yeah,
Yeah.
do you get affected by any of the storms and so on over there? We
You
often
know,
hear.
yeah, I heard Helene. It was pretty devastating for areas close to me and in my area. We had some people without power, without water, and then on down the road, man, they got really bad in Western North Carolina. I'm not too far from them. Speaking of, I'll tell you a great story. If you want to hear it right quick, Jay, the guy that hooked us up. He's kind of like a manager kind of guy for me. Well, he travels overseas, and he's kind of on a spiritual journey, and he's been in Thailand for the last couple of months. We've been working back and forth in Thailand. So he told me a few days ago, he says, "Man, I'm going to go to Cambodia." He said, "I want to go to the temples there." He's kind of a Buddhist, and he said, "I'm going to go to the temples there and everything." So I'll be leaving the day after he left, here like yesterday or something. The day after he left, that giant earthquake hit Thailand. So, I mean, he was kind of freaking out over that. So he just barely missed that and flew into Cambodia just right as right before it happened. So I thought
Right.
that was interesting. Yeah. Anyway, I
That's yeah,
digress.
that's well scary, is it? Have you done much travelling yourself, Mike?
Yeah, I love to travel. With as far as the music goes, I've got to go to Sweden. I've not got to do a European tour, but I did get to go with a Canadian band called Zedhead. I got to go play guitar with them in Sweden and do a few shows, and that was fun. Been to Canada, played with those guys and stuff too. And then the wifey and I have been out west a few times. Actually, my band and stuff. Of course, we've traveled around, toured. I like going out with the guys. Man, I mean, I always tell people a good day is a day I don't have to leave the farm here.
So you like being at home. You're a bit homely. You're probably a bit like me. I like being at home. So
Homebody, yeah, yeah, it's good. And the older I get, I guess the less I like dealing with, traffic and crowds and all that stuff. So, yeah.
yeah. Have you been over to the UK?
No, no, I have not been. Actually, I've not been over, and we're trying to set up a tour there. I'm working with some people in Germany right now, and they're trying to get us over. So hopefully within the next, I don't know, within the next year or so, we'll be over there.
Oh,
So
cool.
over.
So have you always been music industry, or have you done anything else at all,
You know,
work
uh,
wise?
I went to school in the '90s. I went back to school. I went to Nashville. Went to recording industry management, and then after I got back from that, I come back. My father has an insurance agency, so that's the music industry. Unless you're on a certain level, it doesn't pay all that great. So I worked at Dad's insurance agency, and that's been a great job. And it allows me the freedom to come and go as I want to and everything. And now Dad's older, and I've sort of got the agency now, and I do the farm thing and run the agency, and that and the music keeps me pretty busy.
Yes, it's amazing, isn't it? How we get. I remember growing up. I think you see all the real top superstars, and you think that they're fabulously wealthy, and it must be wonderful, and that's what the music industry is all about. And it's I don't think it ever was really, but it's even less so now, isn't it? Because there's
And I think a lot of it is just smoke and mirrors. In other words, it's a little bit of a facade.
just it's made to look good on the TV or whatever it is. Or, it's like when we get up on stage, isn't it? I don't know about. I'm sure you would agree with me that you kind of get up there and you become somebody else, don't you? You put on a mask and
Absolutely.
become a different person.
Yeah. And then sometimes Monday morning, then you got to go back to work and reality sets in. But nah, no, it's been good. It's a good life.
How'd you wind down after a gig?
Oh my goodness. There was a time where pharmaceuticals played a part. No, it's hard. Especially we would go out west and play. I love playing at the Whiskey A Go Go in Hollywood. It's
Right,
rock and roll mecca. It's the place to play. But like we're on a different time thing than those guys out there. When we get out there, it was like a 4 or 5 hour difference. You wouldn't go on out there until like 10 or 11 o'clock at night, where your brain said, "Hey, it's like 2 o'clock," and you're going on at like 2 o'clock in the morning, back home, and so you end up when you come off it and you're all wired up from that. You can't go to sleep, and the next thing you know, you've got like 36 hours or something, and you hadn't slept, and you know that's rough. That's a bad part. Pardon? I said I can't even remember what you asked me, but yeah. Oh, you asked me how I wind down after a show, right? Uh, So yeah, that
Yeah,
I would always have trouble with that. It's hard sometimes. It's really tough. Yeah.
I tend to do is I like to before I do a gig is to meditate first because otherwise I
Oh,
get too anxious before we start. So I do a lot of I spend a bit of time. I'll rest up and just meditate a bit, and then afterwards I find that I just have to. I can't go straight to bed after a gig. I have to sit
yeah,
up, either go back to my friend's place and we'll sit and have a couple of drinks and chat and maybe listen to some music and just kind of reflect, especially if it's been a really good night, if it's been really good fun, it's been a you know
right.
um, a really good gig. Is to I find I need to process it and
Yeah.
review
Getting
it
the
in the
adrenaline.
head.
Yeah, you can't shut your thoughts down. I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
Who's your biggest music influences?
Oh my goodness. Uh, okay, I would probably have to say Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top. Or, I don't know.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's as a matter of fact, I just went and seen him uh, just a couple of weeks ago with his new band and everything, and that new album. It was man. He's 75 years old, and the dude sat up there and played for like 2 hours, 2.5 hours straight, and it was amazing, man, because he never in that 2.5 hours, I never seen him in his guitar or change guitars or anything, and he just kept playing. The energy and everything, man. I hope I'm going like that when I'm 75.
yeah. I can't do that now.
Me neither. Good point.
We do, I'm used to sort of two 45-minute sets with maybe some, some encores with some stuff at the end, perhaps. And the
I'm
break in the
with
middle is supposed to be 15 minutes, and sometimes it's 20 minutes, or
Yes,
sometimes it
I'm
can be
with you
even half an hour.
100%. When I was growing up, or when I was young, we used to do these, the cover band thing, and we go out and play these clubs and stuff. And it was like a 4 hour, 4 45-minute sets, a 4 hour gig. It's like, whew, I couldn't do that now.
Never, yeah, never quite got to that level. We got maybe 3 hours. We did a thing a few years ago where we played in the afternoon for somebody's wedding, and
Ah,
then in the evening, then we went over in the evening to play the reception afterwards. So we played some music during the service, and then we played after. What's really amazing is kind of with how when we started the band and we were begging somewhere to go and play, and then the things just fall into place. And when we started, the our singer he said, right, we're not doing any covers. He's going to write all my own music and play our own stuff. And we got just a bit influenced by ska bands, and so we kind of followed on this. We've always been along the ska reggae style.
sorry, the last part. Yeah, absolutely. You got to get your audience involved and stuff. It's amazing to me. I'm blessed. I tell myself all the time, I can't imagine how somebody would want to sit there and watch me for 30 minutes or so. But you know, 45 minutes, but it seems to work out. I guess it's the other guys in the band. I'm blessed. I've got a great band. I've got some crazy guys with me this time out. So, that helps. It always helps
Yeah,
if you're.
but you get that imposter syndrome thing. You think that we know how's anybody going to really like what I'm doing because we're all a bit overly critical, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, my self confidence is not is, but yeah, once you get up there and get going and everything, I get into it, and it's almost like you forget they're out there. I mean, you don't. I mean, you feed off of it, but it's I don't know. You kind of go somewhere else, don't you?
Okay. So I guess you're lead guitar, are you?
Actually, I was, but now I've got a new guitar player, a hotshot guitar player. His name's Richard Jesse, and he's like a Berkeley grad. Actually, I've known him since I was a kid, but he moved off to Austin. And anyway, we got back together over the last year or two, and he's a hotshot. So it's hard for me to hand off my songs to just anybody. But the guys I'm playing with now and stuff, I do. I mean, they do a really good job. So proud of Richard. He's a nut.
So you just vocalizing now? You just vocals or?
I play I play some lead and play the other guitar and do the vocals. Yeah, I write all me and Stevie write the stuff. So Stevie is going to come out and play with us some too. It's just a matter of when. He's actually on tour now with he does a thing called Inaba Solace out of Japan, and for the last couple of weeks, he's been playing sold out shows over there, just like big, huge concert stadiums. They're real big over there. He's going to be on the cover of Rolling Stone in Japan next month. Him and this guy that he's partners with there. And I'm just proud of him. I'm proud to be associated with him. I mean, we were up for a Grammy this year. We were considered for a Grammy for the album and stuff. Yeah, he's just a big name. If you get a chance, I'll plug his movie. If you get a chance, go watch he won the Sundance Film Festival for a documentary done called Rumble. It's a story about how the Native Americans got left out of the history of rock and roll. And it's really good. If you get a chance, it's called Rumble. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that sounds really fascinating.
it'll change
That sort of thing always interests me.
it'll change your perspective on rock and roll because I mean it did mine because well you just got to watch it.
Yeah,
There's some, there's some surprises in it. A lot of big names in it too, man. I mean he had a lot of big names in it. But yeah, he won the Sundance Film Festival for it. The name is Rumble: The Indians That Rocked the World.
right. Okay, I'll definitely look that out. Who's who's who would you say is the famous person you've met? Is anybody that you know? I mean, your level. You must have met a few
Uh,
legends, perhaps.
when I was uh, yeah, when I was starting out, the guy whose band at 18, who I played with in Nashville, he went on to become the band leader for David Allan Coe. And a few years later, I'm back home doing nothing, sitting on the couch, and I get this phone call and says, hey Mike, how would you like to come out and play guitar with David Allan Coe? And I said, well, sure. So he says, okay, meet us next week in Harrisonburg. We're opening for Waylon Jennings. And I was like, okay. So I went out and tried to learn all the David Allan Coe stuff I could. Anyway, I got to play for David Allan Coe and open for Waylon Jennings. So meeting Waylon Jennings, that was cool. I mean, I thought he was pretty big time. Uh, I've got to meet, of course, my mom and dad when I was 18 and I first went to Nashville. I fell in with Dr. Hook's producer, and he got me backstage at the Grand Ole Opry, and I got to bring my mom and dad down and introduce my mom to Roy Acuff. And Roy Acuff was like one of my mom's. She grew up with heroes and stuff, so that was a cool moment to get to introduce my mom to one of her heroes. And I was 18 years old. I thought that was big stuff. So that made an impression on me. But Stevie, he's another guy. I mean, that the guy I'm working with now. He's a multi-platinum artist producer. He's I can't believe I get to work with him, man. He's huge. So yeah,
Realise what a big influence the Grand Old Opry is over there in the States.
yeah. It's especially the area I live here, and like I said, it's very rural, and there's a lot of bluegrass musicians around here, and I mean this is kind of the bluegrass mecca right around here, and within a few miles of my house area. So a lot of very talented musicians, and you can hear it again. I'll go back to Stevie's documentary. A lot of the mountain music, a lot of rural music, and there's a lot of influences that went into making what we know is rock and roll today. There's definitely the Grand Ole Opry has definitely shaped that for sure. The traditional music.
Do you listen to much in the way of Cajun at all?
Do I listen to much what?
Cajun music.
Some. I forget. Is it Tab Benet maybe? Tab Benet, I think is the guitar player's name. I think he's really good. And but are you into Cajun music?
Well, as it happens, another band that I play with, they're called Fat Tuesday, and they do a lot of covers and they do a lot of blues. But there's a bit of Cajun influence in there as well because
Do they have the?
yeah, sweet, yeah,
Oh yeah,
the accordion,
yeah,
So
yeah.
you're quite eclectic, aren't you? Really, you've got a influenced by a lot of different styles, from what I've heard.
I yeah, I've kind of the the bluegrass thing. I've touched on it, the traditional, the gospel thing, and I think this year I'll probably end up putting out a gospel album. Not, I don't know if I'll do it under the Matney thing, but I want to do it. I've got some songs that I recently cut and had cut in Nashville and worked with some guys on that I'm pretty proud of, and I'm going to try to put that stuff out here later this year. Actually, my brother-in-law sang on it. My brother-in-law plays drums for the Little River Band. I don't know. I guess you've heard of the Little. He came in and sang on it and some good stuff. But you were talking about different instruments. I got to show you something right quick. Hold right there, just 2 seconds.
Yeah, sure.
I had a friend of mine just sent me this. Can you see it?
Wow.
Like three
Yeah,
strings, a little cigar box guitar. So I had to write a few songs on that. I mean, there's a song in every guitar, right?
yeah, absolutely.
And a couple of them
But
in that one. So,
you talked about gospel earlier. I love gospel music. I
oh, are
love
you kidding?
the choral stuff, and it's really powerful. Really kind of gets you right in the heart. You know. Often.
Are you a Christian?
Yes, yeah. I'd say I'm not not a practicing Christian as such, but I've certainly been involved with church in years gone by, and that's kind of where some of that comes from. And another little interesting thing is I'd learned to play brass. I'm a trombone player, so I learned to play brass in a school band, and I played in traditional English brass bands for quite a number of years, and struggled a little bit at times. And then I dropped out of it quite a few years ago because I was having to work in a different area, and then got involved with church and sort of then singing a lot more. And then when I
Oh,
came
that's
back
awesome.
to playing brass again, I realised actually that it really improved my brass playing. And then came to the conclusion that playing a brass instrument, what you're actually doing is you're singing through the instrument.
Ah,
Although you're blowing air and your lips are buzzing, you're actually using the diaphragm. It's like singing. So singing
that makes
regularly
perfect.
becomes a, you know,
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. It's perfect sense. I'm glad you told me that. That's interesting. Where I live, there's probably a church every mile or two. Because
right.
again, I live in the Bible Belt, so it's interesting when I talk to people in the UK. A lot of times, there's so many of them that aren't. You know, and I don't know if it's as is it as prevalent there as it is here. I mean, is there a church on every corner or?
There's a kind of yeah. I mean, I live in a village. I mean, there's different churches and different denominations of church. You've got your Roman Catholic Church, and you've got the Church of England, and then you might have a Baptist church.
Yeah.
There's a Methodist church, and that's
Okay.
just in the village of 11,000 people that I live in, which is quite a big village for over here. The United Reformed Church. So there's all the kind of different denominations.
Great. That's excellent. How big is the village that you live in? I'm just curious.
It's about 11,000.
That's not a village. That's a big city.
It's still a village. It's still a village because it has what's called a parish council.
Oh, it's a parish council. Okay. Uh, my town has maybe 3,500, 4,000 people. Yeah.
Yeah,
And probably 20 or 30 churches.
yeah.
I'll tell you a story, a quick joke. See if I can do it. There was a guy got marooned on an island. And this cruise ship passes by and he flags him down. He saves him. He's leaving and he's standing there beside the captain. And the captain looks out over the island and says, "Hey," he says, "I see 3 huts there." He said, "What are those 3 huts?" And the guy said, "Well, one hut is where I lived at, my house." He said, "The other hut's where I went to church." And the captain says, "Well, what's the other hut for?" He said, "That's where I used to go to church." So if you lived in this area, you'd understand that. So that's
Get it? I totally get it.
okay. Yeah. Oh, what time is it there?
It's about 20 to 3 in the afternoon.
Ah, okay, that's not
Because you're
bad.
still morning over there, aren't you?
Yep, yep, yep.
Okay. So how does your Saturday pan out? How does your
I was getting ready to ask you that for yourself. I'm hoping to actually the guys from the first band, White Boy and Average Rat Band. A couple of them that I used out on the road live locally, and I was actually going to holler at them today and see if they might want to come here to the studio and maybe play a little bit. I got one fellow, Jerry, that plays drums for me, and he got some pretty rough news here a few weeks ago. He's got cancer, and he's getting ready to start radiation treatments. And I figure, we might want to get some playing in before he starts his treatments. So I thought I'd holler at those guys today.
Yeah, music is an amazing healer. I think I'll tell you a little story about the guy who was a saxophone player with our band. He passed away, getting on for 10 years ago now. But when he first joined the band, he'd actually been diagnosed with terminal cancer, and about 3 or 4 years before he joined us, he was given 6 months to live. He actually lived for 8 years, and
Oh my
I'm
goodness!
convinced that what kept him alive was music. He was so passionate about when he joined our band, particularly. He was so passionate about what we were doing and writing music and putting it together and just having great fun. He was a fantastic guy, really nice fella. But right up to the end, right up to the last, probably the last month of his life, he still managed to get his saxophone out and play a little bit of music, just in a little
I'm
alehouse somewhere locally,
I'm
and that's
glad you
really
told
it
me.
was really inspiring.
Yeah,
It's
it
an
is.
attitude of mind.
Yep. I'm glad you told me that because I'm going to pass that story along to Jerry and tell him.
It's a great, and I say, absolutely true story. Martin Cox, what a lovely guy he was, and he played in bands locally around here for quite a number of years. Um, but it
I,
was just, I think, getting into a band where we're just writing our own music, and when I think writing the music is we do it together, more or less. Somebody comes up with a bit of an idea and a few lines, and then we put it together as a band in a very interesting sort of way. I don't know whether you've actually managed to.
so I'll have to. I'm aware of it. I'll have to watch it. So do you like collaborating like that? Collaborating with other writers?
Yeah, I mean, I don't do any writing as such, but what we do tend to do is we're going through something, so somebody's putting a song over and saying, okay, well, how about a middle eight there? Okay, and then we'll try and make up a horn lick in the middle of it. We're just listening, nothing. There's nothing written down. We'll just work out what it is organically. That's what I was trying to say. Really, is writing music organically, so it evolves. I mean, the song might start off from one style, and then it might be that a couple of weeks later we decide to change the style, or we decide to do it at a different tempo. And I love doing that. But it's the creation, and also I like recording studios as well. That's really good fun.
I got to tell you, when I did the album with Stevie, this hold a copy here, the Redneck and the Redman. I had never really collaborated like that. Stevie went through my songs and he said, "Let's work on these." He kind of went through our repertoire or whatever, and picked out the ones we wanted to work on. But he, in turn, when we got into the studio, man, I mean, he started Frankenstein. I mean, he was taking verses here out, pulling choruses here, and doing this, and rewriting this, and rewriting that, and stuff. And that's the first time I really ever experienced that. And there was a part of me that that's your babies, that's your kids. You kind of got to let go just a little bit, and sit back and say, okay. And so I'm glad I did what I did, turned loose a little bit because I mean he just took it and ran with it. And it's so much better. I was talking to Kevin, the engineer, and he was saying that so many people when they come in, they butt heads with their producer and they say, well, I want this or want that, and you kind of got to, you know, they try to stay on that main vision. But I've learned as an artist, I guess what I'm trying to say is over the years that uh, if you relinquish control of it and let somebody else become involved, somebody that's qualified, lots of times you end up with a better product. It has more range, more flavor. Yeah, does that make sense?
I'd agree with that entirely. I think there is playing in a band when the band is at whatever level, when it's successful, it's when there is that trust and that collaboration. You're allowed to make mistakes as you go along the way, and we
Right,
laugh about not getting it right sometimes, and quite a lot of times not getting it right when we're rehearsing and we're practicing. But there's that ultimate trust with everybody, and we can all take the mick out of each other. We can always give each other a hard time in a friendly, kind of way, because it's that we accept what it is.
yeah,
We have a ball. I mean, our rehearsals. If our rehearsals weren't fun, then we wouldn't do it.
right.
It's done because we enjoy it. It's a get together. It's the first thing we do is we sit down and someone opens a bottle of wine and we have a couple of drinks and we have a normal chit chat as friends, and then somebody says, "Oh, I think we ought to go play some music." So then we
Yeah,
then go down in the basement and we start practicing, and away, and it goes from there.
that's
That's the most beautiful thing, I think, in my experience of playing music. The most beautiful thing is that collaboration of people, very much in a way of disagreement or arguments. It's everybody's respected. Everybody gets the gaps, everybody's got space to shine a little bit in a song. It's not all about one player or one singer or one, it's everybody gets their go.
yep, yep. Uh, yeah, I guess it's the same everywhere like that. Working with the guys, we're working on a new album down in Austin. The last session I went down, working with the guys. It was this the first album, this album, the first album I did with Stevie. It was just me and him and Kevin working on stuff. We brought in another guy, a bass player. Uh, in the meantime, Stevie helped me put this band together with these guys that I got now, and they're all just really pros. And my bass player Omar, he owns one of the biggest recording studios in Austin, so we're in there recording here over the last month or so, and just letting those guys have their input and do what they wanted to do on the tracks and their ideas and stuff, and working with them, it sort of took the music in a whole, not I won't say a whole different direction, but it did. It gave it a different sound, and I got to hear what the band sounded like, and I thought that's so cool. I mean, different players influence your music, and the different styles and everything, and yeah, just like you're saying. I mean, the first thing you got to do when you get together with the guys is they're going to have a few beers and whatnot, loosen up. Everybody's friends. We're all buddies, and so yeah, the camaraderie and the fellowship of bands, man. I mean, that's like you say, that's where it's at. Some of my best experiences in life has been, hanging out and traveling with the guys and doing shows and stuff. So yeah,
Fantastic.
I know what you're saying.
Okay, Mike, I think we're coming up towards the end now. So I thank you so much for coming on today, man. This is so podcasting's a relatively new venture for me since I retired, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. It's really great fun. I like to meet new people, and it's
Ah,
great to talk to folks like yourself. You're not the first American I've had on my podcast. You'll be the third, I think. But it's really great fun.
I
So
enjoyed it.
it's
Absolutely, I enjoyed
okay.
it.
So no, real best of luck to you, man. And if you get to come over to the UK at all, just drop me a line, let me know, and I'll try and come out and see you.
Please tell people to check us out at matney.rocks on the net.
Yeah, go
That's
on.
my
So
website.
that go on. This is your opportunity to shamelessly promote what you do and what you're doing and what music you play and what your band is. Okay, so go for it.
Okay. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you for having me on today. Everybody, please check out matney.rocks. And you can find us on YouTube. We're on Instagram at Matney Band. And we're on Facebook. And just you can email me or call me or just check us out. I appreciate it. Thank you, man, for having me on.
Thanks very much. Cheers, Mike. Take care.
Cheers. Take care.
See you again. Bye for
Bye.
now. Okay, so cheers, man. Okay, so good luck. Have a good day.